that we have Siegfried Eigner from Eigner Energiecontracting GmbH as a speaker. He is a planner of biomass district heating systems already for quite a long time. He does it also international. I think he did some planning also in Japan and Chile.
Thank you.
Canada.
Welcome.
And he is also very active in the field of energy contracting. And furthermore, he's a certified QM manager of QM Heizwerke Austria. So the stage is yours, Sigi.
Welcome.
I'm happy to say something about it.
Thank you very much. You can understand me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, perfect. Great, thanks. Yeah, thanks for the, and you can see me as well?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay, should I switch it on or not?
That would be very nice. At least I would like to see.
Okay, hello. Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation and the possibility to share our experiences, our view on the concept of energy supply contracting. It's great to talk about this with you and to discuss this. In the first part, I would like to show and present the concept of energy supply contracting, in specific renewable heat contracting. And in the second part, I would like to share some experiences of realized projects. So I'm checking if the presentation works. Yeah, no. What is contracting? This in brief, I suppose you all know about the basics of contracting. So we have two main contracting concepts. On the one hand, energy supply contracting. On the other hand, energy performance contracting. All the other contracting models are somewhere in between or covering just single aspects of an energy service. When I'm talking about energy supply contracting or renewable heat contracting, I always add it with a full energy supply contracting or full heat contracting, which is covering all the stages which are required for the realization of a contracting project or in specific a biomass project. So supply contracting is applicable for new and also existing buildings. The investments are primarily done to provide the energy to the customer, to the clients, and the refinancing of the whole project is done by billing for the consumed heat on the one hand, and for the provision of the plant and for the provision for the services done by the contractor. From the basic concept, energy supply contracting is an energy service. The aim of this energy service is to improve the efficiency in the energy production, but also, of course, on the secondary line, also the efficiency in the energy consumption. When it comes to renewable heat contracting or to renewable systems, I always mention that just because it's a renewable system or it's a biomass system, that's not enough. Also, renewable systems, especially biomass system, have to be really efficient. What's the role of the contractor? The contractor is doing the planning, the financing, the construction, and the operation of the plant. And the plant can provide energy in form of heat or cold or steam or electricity, also compressed air, to the customer, to the buildings of the customer, to the processes of the customer. A main characteristic of supply contracting is that the contractor hires a room or a lot of land which he needs in order to build the plant or the equipment, and he hires that from the customer. The customer does not buy the plant. The owner of the plant is the contractor. The customer just draws the energy he needs from the contractor. All the details of this agreement are defined in an energy supply contract, and of course the contractor needs to get paid for all his services, And we have heard about the price models already today. I think in one of the first presentations, it was presented the basic rate and the energy rate, and also the meter charge. Here a more visual description of the most common model, heat supply contracting. Here on the right-hand side, the customer is responsible for all the steps required for the realization of a project in the conventional way. When it's full supply contracting is done, all these duties are shifted to the contractor. The contractor is the investor. The contractor delivers heat to the customer and receives a heat price. And all the details are agreed in the heat supply contract. And sometimes there's also a separate contract for hiring the boiler room or the site, that the land where the contractor is building the heat plant. Here another illustration from a realized project showing the responsibilities of both partners. The first on this side, it's the responsibilities during the realization stage. It shows all the investments which are done by the contractor, the boiler rooms, the pipings to the houses, and the investments which are responsible, or where the customer is responsible for. That's the realization stage, and below here the operation stage. Also again, the contractor responsible for all the equipment. The only difference you can see maybe here in these two pictures is when you look in detail, the measurement and control system of the secondary side is also the operator or the customer is responsible for this. The investment was done by the contractor, but the measurement and control during the operation is done by the customer. These pictures should show how much easier the life for the client, for the customer is when he's doing a contracting project, because the contractor is dealing with all the involved parties. So this here is the customer, the client, which is receiving the energy, the heat, and during the planning and construction phase, the contractor is dealing with all the involved parties, ranging from the planner to the authorities and so on. And it's the same picture also in the operation phase. Here again, the energy customer, the contracting partner, and the contractor is responsible for the operation of the plant. He's organizing the fuel supply and so on. So actually life is much easier, or definitely life is much easier for the contracting customer and partner. Where can contracting be applied? Actually, there's no limitation, I would say. Usual applications are public buildings, hospitals, hotels, office buildings, and so on. And the concept in general is applicable for nearly every situation and constellation. It can be a customer with single objects or several objects, so then we have a local heating system. Even it goes to a district heating system. The heat production system can be a new one. It could be a reconstruction of an existing system. We can have a winter and summer operation, or only winter operation. And also we can have different kinds of fuels, wood chips, pellets, or other renewable energies. A very important thing in the whole contracting concept and process is of course, the energy supply contract. I always say it's to our customers, or in the discussion with our customers, that it's better to take more time or enough time to clarify all the details of the agreement. We write it down. So how to say, It's a partnership for normally 15 years. The people, the acting persons can change, can shift. And so also the other persons have to know what was the basic idea of the whole project and contract. And it's also one thing I always mentioned that as a contractor, it's of my own interest to make clear or to have a common understanding of the responsibilities and duties of the whole contract, because it doesn't make sense for me to get a signature under a contracting contract. My partner or the customer misunderstands maybe something, and then we have 15 years of discussions and arguings. So that's not the goal of a contractor to have troubles the next 15 years. Generally, contracting is a partnership. So that's the very important thing, to have that both partners have the common understanding of the project. I would like to go a little bit in detail to the subject of the pricing components and pricing models. As mentioned before, we have heard about this already today. Also here, or in our contracting models or projects, we have a basic rate. In the basic rate in our model, we cover the fixed costs, also all the investment costs, the costs for the operation, for plant management, and so on. The basic rate is independent from the actual energy consumption. We have an energy rate. In the energy rate in euro per megawatt hours or kilowatt hours, in the energy rate, all the fuel costs are covered, and that's the main portion of the energy rate. There are also costs for ash disposal, electricity, and other variable costs, but the main part of the energy rate are the fuel costs. And again, we have a meter charge. On the markets, there exist several pricing models. I tried to put down here the two examples of the two main pricing models, and let's say the difference, the difficulties which have been encountered in Austria. Some companies have encountered these problems. That's why I would like to show this to you. When looking at, for example, we have a biomass plant. The nominal load is 1 megawatt. The heat demand is 2,500 megawatt hours a year, and the contracting period is for 15 years. So these are just rough figures. I said we have investment costs for 1 million euros, taking into account the funding, the financing, administration, operation, repair costs. So the production costs, the yearly production costs, sum up to about 80,000 euros. That's the fixed cost. The second cost group are the variable costs, as I mentioned before, fuel, ash, electricity, and so on. They sum up to about 30 euros per megawatt hours. So in total, the 30 euros per megawatt hours multiplied by 2,500 megawatt are 75,000 euros a year costs for the operator of the plant, for the owner of the plant, for the contractor. In total, the production costs 155,000 euros a year. So and now there are two pricing models, or here I show two pricing models. The model A is according to the actual production cost structure. So all the fixed costs are covered in the basic rate. So there's some percentage of interest for the revenue for the contractor here. So I say, okay, the basic rate agreed with the customer is 85,000 euros a year, and the energy rate also here some percentage of interest and revenue for the contractor from 30 to say 35 euros per megawatt hour. Again, with the calculated 2,500 megawatt hours, the cost for the customers is 172.5 thousand euros. The same cost for the customer results with the pricing model B. But here the difference is we have a much higher energy rate, 67 euros per megawatt hour, and a very low fixed cost rate. So for the customer, when he's receiving 2,500 megawatt hours, the yearly costs are totally the same. But what's the problem with this pricing model? It's a very common pricing model. It's orientated on the market conditions, especially orientated on oil or gas system prices. And the problem is, for instance, when because due to energy saving measures or very warm winters or so, the energy demand from the customer reduces. Here in this example, I said okay, it's reduced by 20% because of, for instance, energy saving measures also. So then the customer only draws 2,000 megawatt hour a year. With the model A, the cost for the customer are 155,000, because it's the 35 euros the megawatt hours by 2,000. It's the 70,000 euros for the heat, the energy he draws. The 85,000 euros are independent. It's the basic rate. They are independent from the energy demand. So it's 155, and the production costs are 140,000. So it's okay for the contractor, and it's okay for the customer. With the pricing model B, we have the same production costs as we have with the pricing model A. It's 140,000, but because he has a higher energy rate, and the energy demand becomes lower, so the 2,000 megawatt hours by 67 euros per megawatt hour sum up to 134,000 megawatt hours euros. This with 5,000 euros basic rate, the very low basic rate, sums up to 139,000 euros. And so already in this stage, the production costs are not covered anymore. This is just by 1,000 euros, so this wouldn't be a problem in the real world. But I just would like to show the mechanism and the problem with the pricing model B. Model B is driven by heat consumption, so it's at the interest of the operator or the contractor or the owner of the biomass plant or the supplier of the energy, that the customer draws as much energy or heat as possible. So it's very good for the owner, for the contractor. And he has a problem with when the customer or the client wants to save energy or do energy saving measures. That's not the situation with the pricing model A, and that's why I call it's a energy saving friendly pricing model. I put this in because there was in the last years some projects or companies really had problems, financial problems, because they overestimated the future heat demand of the customer, and then it went down. The heat sales were less, and then they came into troubles. Yeah, shifting to the price adjustment, because we have a contract period for normally about 15 years. Of course, the price adjustment is required, and also for this theme, the pricing model A is much easier, because the price development during the next 15 years, during the partnerships, price development for the contractor and for the client will be totally the same. No difference if the client would have realized the project by himself or has realized it now with the contracting project. That's a very good thing, because actually there are no reason for discussions then between the client and the contractor. Why are we talking about energy supply contracting today? Because I think, not only because I think, but I'm convinced energy supply contracting is a really powerful concept, a really powerful tool. When we're looking in general at the requirements in our energy supply, for instance, we have a hotel or a production process, we would like to have supply guarantee. We would like to have efficient, reliable technology. We would like to consider environmental aspects, get rid of fossil fuels, allow for the usage of renewable energies. We would like to become independent on a local or regional level, and we would like to have a high comfort. And all these requirements are met by the renewable energy supply contracting concept. And this renewable energy supply contracting concept, it's a little bit provocative, but can be one tool to rescue us on our way to decarbonization and efficiency. The benefits, why is this so? The benefits of renewable energy supply contracting, there are a couple of benefits, but one of the main really good things are that there are no more investment, also the investment costs are not a limiting factor anymore for the realization of renewable energy projects, because the investment costs are covered or done by the contractor. And this allows the contractor is calculating his project or the total project for a time period 10, 12, 15 years. And so this allows the use of renewable and clean energy, the use of modern and efficient technology. And hopefully the contractor has a special know-how of what he's doing or the technology he's using. And so he can also gain a saving in the total fuel consumption. For the customer, of course, it's a very comfortable thing, because all the risk and duties are assigned to the contractor, and normally the contractor has to guarantee the supply of energy, the supply of heat. Here I put together some main tips and success factors. It has to be clear for both partners that it's a partnership, and the basis of a partnership is a fair balance of interests. And to achieve this fair balance of interest, the transparency of the whole project has to be ensured. It has to be clear that to both partners that the contractor cannot work miracles. Not from the technical point of view, he can change the physics, and the contractor also can't change the basic economical rules. Contracting is just one option to realize a project. If a project is not economic viable, or a project is not possible to realize it, it also can't be realized by contracting. The contracting can't bring that project to life. It's very helpful, or it's necessary that the contracting customer becomes involved and concerns himself with the whole contracting concept. And it's very, as I mentioned before, when I talked about the contract, it's good that all the details are really clearly defined, the rights and the obligation of both partners. From the project phases, it's nothing special. It's similar to any other technical projects. Really highly recommended is a good pre-feasibility check. In a few hours, it can be checked if a project makes sense or doesn't make sense. The key to a successful biomass project in general, but the same applies to contracting projects, is to do a detailed heat demand inquiry, checking the heat load, checking the heat energy demand, and doing this properly with this optimal system can be defined. Optimal system in view to the whole cost, the economics, and the efficiency of the plant. So I just have to check the time because I don't have it here on my screen. Just give me a second.
You have 5 more minutes, but I think it's okay if it takes you a little bit longer.
Okay, so thank you.
It won't take long for the summary. So.
Okay. Some examples. Here, wood pellet contracting project for a hotel. I've chosen this project because it's a 1 megawatt pellet boiler. We provide heat to this huge 4-star plus or 5-star family hotel. You can see here the hotel, and there are also some chalets there. The interesting thing was it would have been much cheaper to provide the energy or the heat by using wood chips, but the client didn't like the smell of the wood chips, and so he wanted to have a pellets plant. So the costs were at least 25% higher, but it was the wish of the customer, so of course we fulfilled that. We started this project 4 years ago, and we are very happy with this project because our calculations it showed that our calculations were quite okay, and we have a 1 megawatt biomass boiler and a 1.3 megawatt oil boiler for peak load. And we calculated that we covered more than 97% with wood pellets. Actually, it's nearly 99% of the yearly heat demand we can cover with the wood pellet boiler. Let's make it a little bit faster now, skip some things. This was before it was a 1 megawatt boiler. The wood pellet contracting with pellets also can be made with some smaller projects. Here we have also a hotel project with there's one picture missing, sorry, with 2 100 kilowatt boiler or pellet contracting project on for residential buildings. Here we have 4 residential buildings and a 100 kilowatt pellet boiler, or 1 apartment building with a 60 kilowatt boiler. The main message is pellet heat contracting works. It ensures the security of supply. We have a transparent pricing model, and we can provide competitive, cost-effective solution. And especially for this, it even may look beautiful. What you can see here, that's beneath is the pellet storage room and the boiler room for the whole hotel plant. That's a garden of the hotel. Contracting also applies for industry projects. We started this project in 2006. It was a new built production facility from the company Fronius. You can see here on the right hand side, that's the area of the biomass plant. We rented this lot of land from company Fronius, installed the biomass plant. It's the whole underground, so you just can see the chimneys. It's a biomass plant with 2 biomass boiler and a gas boiler. There was an extent. So in the beginning, the customer required 3,200 kilowatt. We did a detailed analysis of the load curves and so on. We said, okay, we will install 2.8 megawatt, and we split it into 1.5 biomass and 1.3 gas. In 2010, there was an extension with additionally 650 kilowatt. This whole extension was covered by optimization of the existing plant, and still with this about 50% of the nominal load covered with biomass, we can provide more than 89% of the yearly heat demand by biomass. A very nice project. We're in the 14th year now, and that's an older slide. It's from last year, but we have no supply disruption since 14 years now. So we're very proud of that. Another project which should show the flexibility of the contracting model, company where we provide heat for in the Lower Austria. We started the project in 2007. It's a very active, agile company. So they had a couple of expansion stages, 2007, 2012, 2018. We started with a 1,500 kilowatt wood chip boiler and an existing oil boiler. So they switched from oil to biomass. We started with 4,000 megawatt hour. Now we have, in 2018, it was 10,000 megawatt hours. Now we are actually at about 12,000 megawatt hours heat demand a year. And we built this part of the biomass plant. Then we had the extension. We built this one, and so step by step the load was increased during the years. And that's a huge 125 cubic meter buffer storage tank. And also here the message, renewable heat contracting works. It is also flexible. And now we are coming to microgrids. Here a project started in 2018. That's a new build school building. There's some existing old houses, and here there is a single family area with single family houses. It was a very problematic project because, as you can see here, there was an owner, a project developer of the whole project, and during the first years, the whole project was sold to another project developer. So it took a couple of years until we could start with operation. And there was a very interesting specific thing there. In the first calculations or requirements by the project developer, they said they have a heat demand of 2,200 megawatt hours a year. When it was shifted to the other project developer, they improved, or they changed the standards of the building quality of the buildings, So now the heat demand is much lower than it was assumed in the beginning, or said in the beginning. It's at least 30% less than it is 2,200 megawatt hours. But because of our pricing model, actually, for us, it's not a real problem. It shows that the positive effects of the pricing model I just described before. And also a microgrid, a holiday resort where we provide heat for 75 flats. Here you can see the biomass heat plant, and that's the whole holiday resort provided heat from biomass. Also here we had an extension 2 years ago, and also here the extension was covered with the existing 400 kilowatt biomass boiler and 700 kilowatt oil boiler. And also here, when you look at the nominal loads, it's 1/3 and 2/3, and we still can cover way up more than 95% of the yearly heat demand by biomass. Finally, and again, the message, renewable heat contracting works, and I'm welcome to your questions and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Sigi Eigner, for your interesting presentation, and especially for showing us that interesting examples, and for remembering us how important SRO heat demand analysis is to prevent overdimensioning. So are there any questions? Harald has a good question.
Quick question to Sigi. Are you interested in international projects, for example, Croatia, Slovenia, or Poland, where our project partners are situated? Italy, of course, sorry.
Again, please.
Are you interested in international projects? So doing contracting in Italy or Slovenia or Croatia or Poland?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. Generally, yes. But how to say, my approach for this is that we definitely would need a partner there. So we wouldn't go to another country without local partners. What we could provide for international projects or projects in other countries is all our know-how. So we could partner with some local companies that would be possible. But we want to do, how to say, a contracting project just with our company and go to Italy or Croatia or so and do all by ourselves. That we made the experience that will not work. It was an idea of mine the last years or the last 10 years ago, but I realized that without a local partner, it's not possible. I told you we started the contracting business in Chile last year in autumn, but we only did this there because we have some very reliable partners there, and so that was the reason why we said, okay, we engage ourselves in another country.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's necessary.
I would be happy to partner with somebody to do renewable heat contracting projects.
Okay, maybe we can do some matchmaking in case there is interest.
Welcome.
Okay, hi, Nate from Xena, Slovenia here. I have a question regarding residential project. How many residential projects, or what's the share of residential project among all of your projects? So that they are strictly residential, not office.
So actually we focus on industry. Generally, we focus on industry projects in the last years. But since 1 year ago, we were approached by a couple of housing companies which were looking for smart solutions, maybe not only on biomass, also heat pump solution, geothermal solutions. So we start to become involved more and more in residential projects. The project we realized so far, I would say it's 15% of the projects are for residential customers.
Okay, thanks.
There was a question from Joachim Zara. He asked, what's about combination with solar thermal plants, for example, in summer?
We had one project, the holiday resort. I showed to you this one. There we wanted to do a solar thermal plant, but we weren't allowed to do because it's on the Hallstätter See, and it's a cultural heritage area. So it wasn't. We weren't allowed to put PV or solar thermal collectors on the roofs of the buildings. Our calculation has shown that in the projects we have, and the time span of 15 years, that's normal contracting period, that it's not of economic benefit for the project. The general idea is fine, is nice, especially when it comes to the topic of saving resources. But from the economic point of view, in our situation or calculation, it's not really an advantage. But if you have ideas, also we are welcome to improve our concepts.
Thank you. If there are no further questions for the moment, I would move to the summary, and we would also do a short group photo So I don't know if all of you can switch on your cameras. That would be very nice. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Chiara, could you please enable me as moderator again?
Yes, I think Ricardo could be better for me, but we had a lot of no. I'm just.
I think I don't have permission today. I'm just normal.
Okay, so we had a lot of questions in chat and ideas exchanged between our partners. So please, for example, about cooperatives, we have already discussed, but if you have some other inputs about that or ideas or questions to discuss about possibilities to set up cooperatives in your country, please come in. Then there was a very interesting exchange of ideas concerning national responsibilities and initiatives and funding. So please, Harald and Eva, if you want to exchange with us your ideas. So
Of course, we can do that, Chiara.
okay, thank you. And then there were some other question, more technical, about the temperature.
I think we answered the question.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Move on.
He answered, but just in chat. I don't know if it could be useful just to share in voice, in call, or in any case. If apart of the answer, if you have any other question to discuss now concerning issues discussed and presenting today, please come in and ask on propose.
Harald could present the economic feasibility slides on heat price, but I have to be a moderator then. The one he left out beforehand.
Yeah, you should give the presenter role to Sabrina again.
Again to Sabrina. Okay. Sabrina. Okay. Here it is. Sabrina, you are.
So it's not Sabrina, it's EA's AEE presenter.
Sorry, I'm not so clear today. Okay, here. I'm here. Okay. Here we are. You can share.
Okay, since there are no more questions and we have 1 minute of time, I'll show you something about the heat price calculation, which I forgot beforehand because I was out of time. This is an independent module, so this is not directly linked to the economic calculation. But of course, what you calculate here, you can insert as an input value for the calculation. We already discussed that we have different price models, the basic charge, metering charge, energy charge. We don't have to go into detail. What you can see here is that you can define 3 different types of customers. which we made here. We call them private customer, commercial customer, and large-scale customer, industrial customer, for example. You can define the shares of the total heat sale of each group and define an individual price model for them and the heat sale of this part. And then you get an overall average price based on that model, which in that case is our input value for the calculation. Alternatively, you can insert directly an average heat price if you want to, or you can use another option. You can use a graduation model of prices according to the heat demand of each customer. So both is possible. It should help you just a little bit to figure out what price models, what prices you want to take, or how they influence the total average heat price. So that could be very helpful for these calculations. I think that's already it. So I hand over to Sabrina. I think she will close the session now. Thank you very much.
So sorry, thank you so much. I have one last presentation, but I will be very, very, very quick. Yes. Wait. I think we heard a lot about very interesting tools concerning economic feasibility, but also concerning heat comparison, but also how tricky it can be to do this and how important is it to really have good data and costs, and take a look and really take a good look at the prices. I'm also very happy that we saw very interesting examples from Germany. And of course, it was very interesting to learn a lot about renewable heat contracting. We will send out the presentations to the external participants. We will send the presentations via PDF, and for our internal, we will receive the presentations via our shared online system as PowerPoints. And we also have prepared an evaluation questionnaire, and of course we're always open to support you concerning questions, because the next training will be soon here. I thought it would be October, because I'm looking forward to seeing you very much, but it might be November or December. Nevertheless, please finish the trainings for the first trainer for your first regional trainings until September 2020, and try to do the other ones as soon as possible. I prepared questionnaires because of organizational matters. These are 2 questionnaires, but they are very short and you will be very quick to click through it. So I think it would be a very good idea to do it right now. And to answer them, of course, we will also send them later by email. So great thanks to Heidrun Köker from the Energy Agency. They also hosted us. You maybe don't know it, but we are at their office at the moment all together to do this workshop. And great thanks to all of the other partners who participated, and of course to Sigi Eigner.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It has been very, very interesting. And are there any questions?
We will copy the links to the questionnaires into the chat.
Pardon?
Or maybe I do it now. I will copy the links of the questionnaires into the chat, so that it's easier for you to fill the evaluation question right now.
Yes, could be an idea. Thank you. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. If there are any further questions, we would have some more minutes. but you can also always send us an email. So I think there are no further questions. Then thanks to all of you and goodbye.
Thank you again, Sabrina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice day. See you. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you to you all.